Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. And we have a special guest here tonight. I want to say hi to the people coming in the chats. We got Kicking Bird, Robin. How you doing, Robin? John. And we got more people going to be coming in, I'm sure, um, as we go on. So, as you all know, this is an interview with Oakman, and we're being nefarious and sneaky. He put on there, it's probably Oakman, but this is broadcast is live from South America. And I want to thank Wanda when she gets in. She bought me a coffee last night or early this morning. I don't know. It was a nice surprise. I appreciate that very much. Hi, Donna. How are you doing? So I'm going to start off by talking real quick about a subject we talked about last night, which was this Eliza Blue. Um, and if Nikki B gets in here, she can vouch for me. I had suspicions that things might have been a little bit dirty going in there, and I didn't like the way the focus was on her past and dragging her through the mud through the past and promoting her past videos. But I will discuss that tomorrow in greater depth. I posted a video on my truth, and then the second half is social concerning that if anybody wants to get a jump start on that conversation. But right now, I'm going to ask you all to join me in welcoming Oakman from South America. We know which country that is, Brazil. And how you doing tonight, Oakman?
Hey, Mountain Man, always well, sir. And you, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. We were concerned about you, but we know that you have to lay low and be careful with what you say. Um, so we're going to be respectful of that. And I ask you a few questions that a lot of people have been asking. And the last time you were on, there was like 6 questions in a row that I didn't see in the chats right offhand. Hi, honey. Hi, Alicia. Hi, B Dog. Hi, Bubba. Hi, Happy Days. But it was basically concerning the jab or do, the jab.
Mm-hmm.
And we had here we've got some freedom with our social media, and it was put out there that they are putting a law up concerning the jabberdo and things you say about it. Can you give us a little information about that?
Sure, I can. So basically, this for you all to make sense of the situation, you had to understand that one key element, one agent, was today elected for the president of the Senate. And this guy's name is Pacheco, right? And Pacheco, he has told us, he was very clear in telling us that he will vote on this semester, right? So right at the beginning of this year, he will vote the project which will criminalize everyone who talks bad about getting the thing on your shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Or if not only talking bad, but he will also punish you if you cast any doubt about it. So if you have any doubts and you just make a post of it, you make a post, even a question, you can be categorized uh, as, I don't know, some sort of insurgent, right? I don't know what's the
They call
reasoning
it.
behind this.
They're trying to frame it in Canada and in this country as giving out misinformation.
True, but here in Brazil, Mountain Man, they are going even further than that. They are saying that not only you are misinforming somebody, but you are actually hurting our democracy, right? They are
Oh
using
boy.
this term for basically everything, sir. So this, I think about the jab. I think it's a lost fight here, and people will have to. I don't know what will have to happen, what needs to happen, so people can wake up and understand that these laws they don't make any sense because Brazil is going on the world is going in a direction and Brazil is going in the other direction regarding this subject. Because if you think about it, you see Every news media outlet, even governments from all around the world and the West especially, talking about the real danger behind this, right? And here in Brazil, it's like nothing is happening. All the politicians and the physicians, the doctors, they are all telling us publicly that, oh, it's fine. You need to have your own dose, right, of the thing on your shoulder. And this is, I don't know. I don't know what will happen from here. I'm going to tell you, I am not jabbed,
Yeah.
never. I will never will. And I think because these projects being now discussed at the Senate and at our congressmen, with our congressmen, they are all, I think, to an updated version of the 2020 laws that they were trying to apply, right? Of the decrees that they apply on society. They are way more rigid. They are way more violent. They are already talking publicly that those people shouldn't have, like those people like myself, right? We shouldn't have a bank account. We shouldn't have access to public service. So if you see, this is happening with
Well,
one of the greatest American allies here on the continent, right?
right. Well, I know that you said at one point in our discussions that 90% of the people in the country has had that procedure done to them, and you're one of the 10% that hasn't, right? Um, if my numbers are correct. And what are they talking about? Forcing people, physically forcing them to get it?
Not yet, but they are already giving some hints that they will harass us, right? So not only they will harass us, like when they impede us from going to marketplaces, from supermarkets, on public buildings, and so, but they will also send on the most poor neighborhoods here in São Paulo or here in Rio de Janeiro, right? In all cities, in all the big cities here of Brazil, they will send public agents in your house just to check. So they won't do anything, but they will check, right? Just
Yeah.
like on Weimar Republic, when the Germans they were just classifying those people like, oh, here you have a Jew, right? You have a
Yeah.
someone. There's a Jew at this business shop here. So it's basically like that. They are
So
really serious about this, Mountain Man. I'm not
if
joking.
you, but if you get charged with what they call a crime against the state for misinformation, if you get arrested, then they physically force you to get the treatment,
Yes, yes, this is
just
correct, sir. Yeah,
just like they did the people that they arrested on the 8th, right?
yes, and now they are updating the jab that they will give you when you are under arrest, right? When you are in prison. So you're not receiving the earlier batches. You're now receiving the latest batches, which are that one that goes against the Rona and the normal flu. They call ambivalent here. I don't know the name in English, but it's the jab that works for both the flu, right, and the
Right.
Rona. And I don't know. I think this won't end well, my friend.
No, it
Tomorrow it's
doesn't
going to
sound
start.
like it. It
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't sound like it. Now, I got to. I haven't seen. Let me check to see who's in the chats. Hi, Phil. Hi, Debbie. Jersey Joe, how are you? Reba was in the chats last night, and she mentioned. I've seen if she's in tonight. Not yet, but I will give him credit where credit's due. She reported that. High Patriot Starfighter. She reported that Bolsonaro's had applied for an extension for a new visa as a tourist visa for to last for 6 months. And I didn't know if you heard any news on Bolsonaro's, but I did hear him. I heard that he made some sort of public statement that it's not about him. Um, I
Mhm.
I can't remember the exact comment. It was something like, um, "There are no Bolsonaros. These Boros. What do they call the term? below. I can't pronounce it.
Bolsonaro.
Yeah, yeah. There are
Yeah,
no people like that. It's not about him. It's about right and wrong. So I also heard that he was asked about something possibly happening to make a big change, and he said something to the effect of, "If you only knew." I didn't know if you heard that kind of talk also.
I didn't, sir. That last
Oh,
one, I didn't. Yeah,
okay.
I also I need to check this video from Bolsonaro speech last night, right? That he
Yeah.
made in Orlando, because
Right.
I just saw some cuts, some shorts from yesterday speech,
Yeah.
and from what I know, I already knew that he would apply for a new visa for extension, right, of his visa, and I think it's very difficult for him to come back to Brazil now. I don't think it's safe, and I don't think it's prudent or wiser either, right? Because if he does that, he will only play martyr, because those folks, they want to humiliate us even further. And if they can arrest Bolsonaro, it will be like the greatest gift ever for the leftists, right? And for all the Brazilian enemies here, because this will humiliate us. This will be like something. It is so unimaginable to just think about the reaction that the Brazilian people would have if Bolsonaro gets under arrest here in Brazil. Uh,
Well,
it's
we
very
have
dangerous.
heard that there were a lot of priests arrested.
Yeah, and they are still keeping arrested. Actually,
So,
our Minister of Justice today, not today, today is the 1st, right, February 1st, but on January 31st, yesterday, our Minister of Justice, he actually made another threat. He told he told us that next week there will be the next wave of prisons, and now it's all about the mentors, as I told you, right, guys?
yeah,
Uh, I
that's
don't
the
know why
egghead, right? Egghead.
sometimes I get intimidated, sometimes I get crazy, but I'm always quiet now.
Yeah, yeah. But this minister of justice is egghead, right?
No, the Minister of Justice, it's the one that looks like a frog. Is the obese guy. Is
Oh,
the
the fat guy.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
the fat guy, and you can't call him a fat guy anymore, because
I
he's
call him
suing
Toad
people.
Frog.
He's suing people that calls him fat. This is so crazy.
You get in trouble for calling him fat?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Oh,
I haven't, but I know some. Not I know some people, but it was in the news that some people call him fat over Twitter, and this guy just went mad, and he's now prosecuting those folks. So,
oh,
ridiculous.
yeah. Well, it's not. It's awful scary if you're the one being prosecuted, right?
Yeah,
So, now there was some resistance to an arrest of a general. Can you tell us how that went down?
sure, sir. And um, it's a confusion. It was not a general that was being under arrest, or not under arrest, but actually the federal police had an order of seize and search and seize. I don't know the exact term for it, but a search warrant only. But what happened was, it was a major. The search warrant was for a major, and this major was a direct assistant of Bolsonaro on all the Bolsonaro's 4 years of government. Uh, when the federal police arrived at their villa, the General Arruda, which was the Arruda was the former commander of the army, right?
Yeah.
Which he only stayed for basically about a month. And Arruda went nuts when he discovered that the federal police was trying to get in their villa and trying to fulfill a search warrant on the major's house. So Arruda basically forbid the federal police of entering the villa. And now Arruda, this is not the only news about Arruda, my friend.
Oh,
Arruda made another thing, Arruda made more things actually on the January 8th. Arruda is one of the most, I think, Arruda is the guy responsible for the troops defending the Patriots on January
Okay.
8th. And he justified that he got the troops to defend the Patriots because he thought that, and I don't know, here, this is the part of my report where I don't know if this was the news, right? Our enemies doing propaganda, or if this actually happened. But they say that Arruda justified that he put the troops there to defend the Patriots because they had guns back in the camp, and he was fearing that the Patriots would shoot the police and some deaths would occur. And I think this is so crazy that I think the media invented this, and that Arruda just plainly defended the Patriots because he was doing the right thing, right?
Right. But they're trying to make it out like the loyal to the Constitution those people were malicious and armed. Okay. So he resisted and sent the federal police away. Now this person he was protecting, he's been fired from his position in the military, but still on the base, right?
It's not that he was fired. He was just like he's on the reserve. It's like it's basically the reserve bench of a baseball game or a football game, right?
Right.
The guy, he's there. He can work. He just needs to be appointed to some job or to a position for he to resume his job, right? But he's still a military, and he still got the rights that he has as a military. He's just not working with a position right now. It's just that some bureaucratic thing.
Okay. Do you feel there's any other grumblings or moves by the military that's given you any hope?
Oh, my friend, I don't know. I was reading back earlier this week on Monday. I was reading something, but I haven't put so much faith on it because it was like some sort of those type of stories. The cousin of my girlfriend just told me that some generals are mad against the loose crew and they want. So I just don't put so much faith on it. I think that if something will happen in our military, we will first to see some reactions on the police force.
Okay.
And I say the state police force, which they aren't related to the military or anything. But I don't know, Motoman. Things in Brazil are getting weirder by the moment. And I mean, we were just talking yesterday, right? And you see, now we have a place in our country, Roraima. And I don't know, I think many of your audience are seeing this on the mainstream news, that there are some indigenous people that they are starving and they were abandoned by Bolsonaro, and they don't receive any supplies, and they are all going to die at their tribe because they are all starving and sick. And
these are these are what they call indigenous tribes or clans of Brazil, and the accusation, what they're trying to do is form some kind of human rights international criminal charges against Bolsonaro. Is that what you were telling me?
Correct, sir. And they are using this fabricated tragedy. This is totally theater, because there are some politicians from Venezuela, and I have the print screen here on my phone. There are some politicians, some congressmen of Venezuela, that they are denouncing that those indigenous people that they are here denouncing in Brazil, that all these people are starving because of Bolsonaro. It's all lie. They aren't even Brazilians. They are from Venezuela. All those indigenous people, they were moved to Brazil because that tribe area, that Yanomami, I don't know. I don't know how to say their name. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But that tribe, it's basically their territory It's border with Venezuela. And now our government, the federal government, has established a no-flight zone on that territory. So you don't have any type of access there anymore. Not only a no-flight zone, but a no navigation zone. So you can't access there from the rivers. And if you have any type of business there, just forget it. They are they are using they are, how can I say, they are using the excuse that they are fighting illegal miners there. That
Oh.
some people are mining gold and they are illegally mining gold and other minerals there. So basically, the government now has to act because the same people that are illegally mining gold and other minerals, they are also enslaving those indigenous people. It just some script
Yeah,
out
but
of a
so
movie.
but it's not formally Brazil's land. It belongs to the indigenous people, but they're making excuses to take control of it by the air and the water.
Yes, right on the
So
point, sir. Yes, that's
and
it.
then they're saying that the people are suffering, and that those same people are suffering, and that is Bolsonaro's fault.
Yes. And not only that, they want to accuse that Bolsonaro literally abandoned them during 4 years. So Bolsonaro spent 4 years completely ignoring those people, according to the denounce of the new government. And this is a lie. This is a blatant lie, especially because I have some proofs here on my phone, which I have the screenshots of some messages on Twitter. Basically, they are giving the timeline of the stuff and say some the names of some important agents on this region. And you had one of those indigenous people that is an ally of Luz Crew.
Yeah.
That guy was posting on his Instagram basically a month ago. It was everything was fine. People were healthy. People were eating. They were having fun. And then he went dark, and all of a sudden he was just posting pictures of kids dying, right, because of hunger, and other people sick, all nuts. This is everything. Everything of this story is fabricated. And to be honest, my friend, Bolsonaro's Minister of Foreign Relationships, Ernesto Araújo, the former minister, right? That
Yeah.
guy said on 2018 that this would happen, that if Luz Crew or Luz Crew team returned to the federal government, returned to power, they would give the territory of Roraima to Venezuela again. So it's all about we losing our territory, and we lost it. We don't have any access. See, we don't have any access anymore. So if you are a civilian, you can't access this territory anymore because they declared an emergency that they need to save those poor indigenous people, and they need to fight illegal miners at the region. And because of that, they are uh, just, you see, my friend, it's just plain crazy. And Brazil is going to go back to Stone Age. Uh, so it will be so quick to happen because at the same time they are doing this, they are fabricating those emergencies. They are on an active work of dismantling the police and dismantling the army and dismantling our security forces. So this is all happening at the same time. And I don't know, my friend. Sometimes I feel, I'm sorry if I sound frustrated sometimes.
Well, I understand. I understand. It's good to let it out and let people know. But what they're doing is pretty much what we discussed, and what many of the people in chats are very familiar with, is a thing called mirroring. The left will cause a problem or commit some kind of nefarious act, and then blame their opponent of doing exactly what they're doing. So they're the ones that are right now causing problems in that indigenous territory, but they're projecting the problems onto Bolsonaro's. So that's a tactic, a psyop that they use, is to
Mhm.
cause a problem and then blame their opponent.
True. This is true, Motoman. I have read a question on the chat,
Yeah.
and I think it's from B Dog, and he's asking the church position here on Brazil. So
Okay.
it's not one of the best, right? And here we have in the church, we have, I mean now by the Catholic Church, we have something that's called Teologia da Libertação, theology of liberation, something like that, if you translate it literally. And these folks, they are all leftists inside the church. The church hasn't done anything for Bolsonaro, for the patriots. You have some priests here and there that they are vocal against the regime and they really talk about what's happening,
But they
but
get arrested.
they don't get arrested, not yet. The pastors, right, the evangelical people, they got arrested because they are the real deal here in Brazil. Regarding when you talk about the right wing, if you say right wing here in Brazil, most Brazilians will imagine an evangelical person, and there are some pastors that they are not only vocal, but they actually do things, and they call people to go to the streets. Not anymore, right? Because people are getting smarter. They don't want to get arrested for nothing, but the government knows, and especially Loose Crew. Loose Crew knows that the evangelical people, they are a threat to his government.
Right.
And evangelical people here in Brazil are more than are basically, and I don't mean, I think I am not exaggerating when I tell you this. Evangelical people here are basically half of the population. It's that crazy, right here in Brazil.
Yeah.
It's that dense, that community. And those folks, they are kind of divided in some of their branches, but most of evangelical people here, they are all patriots and they love Bolsonaro and they hate Loose Crew and they know what's happening and they know about things that you guys also know, right? For example, about the kids and the stuff going happening underground.
Yeah.
Those folks are red pilled.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is that we were discussing there is a alphabet movement now that's coming out in some of the bigger cities, but I was asking if it was as big as this business of young people changing how they were born in the alphabet community. Um, that's not as prevalent in your country, but it is happening, is it not?
Yes, sir. And we can say for sure that it's not happening in huge numbers because I have some people in my family, and I also know some people that are younger than me. And those younger folks, some of them are still on school. They are finishing school now, right? Because I'm getting old. I'm almost
Yeah.
30, for you guys to know. And so some folks that I know, they are finishing school, and what they tell us, right? What they tell their friends is that there is some sort of active thing from their teachers. So the teachers are active talking about this, and they are saying basically, if you are a girl and you have interest on soccer, they don't see it as, oh, you are a girl which has interest on soccer. No, you're probably a boy and you should abandon all the things that make you identify as a girl. And this is ridiculous, right? This word identify as something. This is so nuts. But
Now, did
what's
they start doing that? Did they start doing that here since the election, or had that been happening before the election?
before, my friend? Since
Ah,
since Bolsonaro, we have this sort of thing going on, and to be honest, his government didn't do much to prohibit or to stop this madness. Actually, they use some sort of legal loopholes that the Bolsonaro government created, so they can uh, it's not invest, but they can basically keep and sustain these people with free medicine, with free transitioning, and all this sort of stuff. And for you guys to know, here in Brazil, transitioning is happening with the alphabet boys, with the alphabet people, right? The alphabet boys, they are other group. Uh, so the alphabet community is transitioning people at the age of 4 here in Brazil.
Oh
So
my
they are
God.
4 years old. You have a 4-year-old kid, and it is she is or he is already transitioning, right? I think, Mountain Man, that the great mess about this subject, all right, about this problem, it is only one. All right, the trans folk, he can say or she can say that, oh, I identify as something else, correct, but I have a right of perception, right? I still have the right to say what my both eyes are seeing. And the right of, if I don't have the right of perception, I don't have the right to have an intelligence, right? Because I need to at least acknowledge to myself that I am seeing a man. And I have the right to say this out loud, that my both eyes are seeing a man. I am not
Right.
seeing Nicki Minaj or Kim Kardashian. I'm seeing a man, right, dressed as a woman. Even though this guy can say, no, but I identify as a woman, and you have to tell me, you have to acknowledge that also, that I am a woman. So this is so crazy, and this is a this is totally nuts. This is unacceptable. We can't accept this. Never. We shouldn't accept any of these terms or conversations or discussions about this problem, because the thing is, if they forbid my right of talking what I am seeing, what I'm
Yeah.
actually seeing, they will
They
do.
change. Yeah, they try to get you to change your own reality by using their words, as you were talking about yesterday.
Yes, so true, sir. Just like they do it on food, right? You see today, nowadays, you can get this future burger, and it is a disc of something, right? Which we don't know what it is. You have some future ingredients, but they do some things like they some pea beans and some beans, and I don't know what else they put there. They process this and they make some discs and they call it hamburger. This is just like calling a man a woman, right? You have
Right.
it's the same thing. It's the same philosophy. It's all everything. It's I have to translate this term, sir. I'm sorry. I'm going to be fast here. Ludical. It's what I mean.
Yeah.
And I got this translation. It's ludic. Things are all ludic, playful. You have to always be using playful terms, and people are getting infantilized. I think it's the right word. Infantilizados, infantilized everywhere. And this is happening because of the wrong use of words. You can't say that you don't know, you make a paste of something, of a vegetable, and you mold it in a disc, and you just say that this is a hamburger. This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make a hamburger, right? Just as a kid, when you were a kid and you play that the ground is lava, and you just stay jumping from sofa to sofa, right? So basically, it's that. I don't know. I think the best thing we can do right now, especially with the subject, because in Brazil here, if you talk bad about these people, if you say, if you make any kind of comment on Twitter or on Facebook, on TikTok, whatever, about the alphabet community, they will raise hell in your life. And not only them, but they will ask help from the government, and they basically, the public defense, the public prosecutors, they will go at their own against you. They are already doing that. They did this a lot during Bolsonaro government. They hunted a lot of people. They hunted and silenced a lot of people because, oh, you're being whatever phobic, right? Take it, my friend.
It's it's like a international, worldwide psyop to um, destroy the family unit. Is
I don't think
that's where society gets its strength, um, and cohesiveness is from the family, and they could separate parents from their children psychologically, and separate human beings from their own identity psychologically. And
Mhm.
they have to do that at a young age when they're still impressionable. And I just don't know. I can't answer how it got so out of hand in this country, much less um, uh, your country, except to say that you seem to have everybody in your government, not everybody, but some key people in your government that are playing along with the psychological operation.
Correct. And I think, sir, it goes beyond destroying the family unity. But it's all about when you destroy the family unity, it's basically the last pillar of of society which the West was built. And I think they are trying really hard to go after the family. They are having success in a lot of their fights. But if you take a 40,000 feet overview of the situation, you understand that when they destroy all the values that build the West, it only will remain one alive, which is the economic value that build our society. Because people have to work, right?
Yeah,
And they are, I think that they are pushing hard on those crazy laws, in those policies and everything, right? That it's made to censor us, to arrest us, to imprison us. They are forcing really hard on this because they want a society based only on work and silence. Because if you see, I don't know if you have this kind of experience, but here in Brazil, if you are with, I don't know, with normal people and you try to talk about what's happening, people get very anxious. And they get anxious and they get mad, sad sometimes. They don't know what to say or what to speak. They are afraid of offending you, right? And
yeah,
I think this is not a natural reaction. This is very unnatural because laws and those policies are so confusing that people don't know how to act or react. So they don't do nothing, anything anymore to combat this because they are afraid of, oh, I can say something and this will get out of context and people will, I don't know, try to sue me, try to arrest me, whatever, right? But they will probably punish me. I think they are trying to build some sort of dystopia where people are all quiet. They all talk about, I don't know, useless manners, right? Just as we are basically living nowadays with most people, with the average person, right, on the West, on the world. They can only talk about, I don't know, the latest trend on TikTok, right, on Instagram. They don't have much to talk. And when you try to talk about something serious, that person will get anxious and I don't know, he will think it's offensive, so he will avoid it. So these guys, our enemies, they are doing these crazy laws and all those crazy stuff on our culture and our society because they want to operate, in my opinion, in some sort of vacuum chamber so
yeah,
they can operate freely, right? They can do whatever and nobody will say anything because people aren't even paying attention because this is so confusing. It's so ugly and confusing that people will ignore it because they don't want to feel bad, right? And they don't even have the words to describe it, what's happening. Here in Brazil, things are so crazy that you see we have some sort of new developments on January 8th, and we have some new information that the president of the Congress, Arthur Lira, just told us yesterday that I have taken note of this. 41 invaders have connected to the Congress Wi-Fi.
41
So
what?
41 invaders, 41 people that invaded the Congress back on January 8th,
Yeah,
actually, they had connected to the Wi Fi on the Congress. So just let's just think about it. If you have a wife or a girlfriend and you go to your best friend's house, and your wife, that she told you that she never met your best friend before, but when you get there, her phone connects automatically to his Wi-Fi, you would at least raise some questions, right, about this.
Yeah.
And the news media here, so I just tie with I was saying earlier, the news media here are using some sort of game of words, and basically these invaders, these rioters, they hacked into the Wi-Fi of the Congress.
Yeah.
So they are,
Either that or they were friends with somebody in the Congress that gave them the passwords.
yeah, but the media is completely excluding this hypothesis.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Boy, they're crafty, aren't they? They think of
Yeah,
everything.
I don't think if you say that they are cynical, it's not even correct. They are beyond cynical. There isn't even a word to describe this sort of people because they will lie straight to your face. They will just lie, all right? They don't care. They really don't care anymore.
Well, I'm going to talk about the church. I'm kind of disappointed, as many people are. And when Pope Benedict passed away, there was a great outpouring from the Brazilian people. Now, Pope Benedict was the pope which stepped down after first pope to step down in 600 years, and who replaced him is Pope Francis.
Mhm.
And now he was a cardinal in was it Chile,
Argentina, from Argentina.
Argentina?
Yeah.
Okay. And so my old school way of thinking was that in this type of turmoil and social upheaval and a worldwide attempt to unseat the Bible, you mentioned Vagano. I
Mhm.
guess I could say his name on you, Tizzle. Um, he wrote an open letter to Trump. I don't know if you ever saw that open letter to Trump. I know you're familiar with Vagano's writing.
I did, my friend. I did saw the letter.
The letter to Trump, where he
Yes.
said it was a satanic. See, I'm really not supposed to say that, but so that's the one time I'll say it. A bad group is what I'll call that from now on.
Hmm.
That is trying to take over the world, essentially. And my old mind, traditional mind, I'm thinking of Pope John Paul. I'm thinking if there was a pope like Benedict, who was a very strict traditionalist with the church, but for some way he got removed, and now we have Pope Francis from Argentina, who has expressed communist leanings, who has expressed that um, uh, I guess I'll just say homosexuality is not sinful, in
Hmm.
direct conflict with the Bible. So, that is extremely disappointing to somebody, to most people, I think. And but you do say that if they did arrest Bolsonaro's, that these people, the majority, it seems, are in a stupor, are stunned and cowed to where they're afraid to say anything. But something like arresting Bolsonaro's would cause the people to react.
I think so. And not only the basically we the people, but public agents. And I mean police officers, army, and just to be honest, guys, this is for your audience, right, Multiman? This is just some sort of high-level speculation about what would happen if Bolsonaro got arrested here in Brazil. I think Bolsonaro is very wise, politically speaking, that he knows his enemies because he shared the same space with them for way more than 30 years, right? So this guy has experience and knowledge about his enemies. And he is doing things in a prudent manner. I think he gave enough hints that the situation is being watched, but he never was clear enough for us
Right.
if it was his team that was watching the things or if it was something happening internationally. So he wasn't never clear. He was just
It was too
once.
dangerous for him to be clear. And since you bring up international,
Mhm.
I'm thinking about BRICS. I'm thinking about the key. Brazil is a key member of the BRICS group, which the Russian Federation is another key member. The Saudis and South America
China and
and
South
India.
Africa, South Africa and China. Yeah,
Yeah, South Africa. You're right.
yeah.
China and India. And I can't see the Russian Federation, the Chinese, the Saudis, which all leaders of those countries basically paid homage to Trump when he came to visit. And I think they're in his, if not his back pocket, they're in his corner. And I remember there being talk of a Russian warship off the coast of Brazil. And I'm sure there's some high level discussions going on between the Brazilian military and the Russian Federation military, as well as the US military. That brings me to the question of these countries, such as Argentina uh, and several others, Ecuador, I believe, that
Mhm.
pledged to give loose screw troops if he needed them. Is that kind of talk still going on?
Yes, it is, my friend. And now, especially with the emergency with the indigenous people. So they are using as an excuse to bring in NATO around here. And at the
Okay.
same time, they are arguing, some people are arguing this that, oh, we maybe need NATO troops here to help us, to move some resources to those people, to those indigenous people. At the same time, they are talking about this, they are also reporting on that you have some Russian ships around here. They are just around the block. We know some right-wing journalists are saying that the Russians are here because of Venezuela, that they are doing an operation there. But I don't have any information regarding this, so I don't know. I think it's just a rumor, right?
Well,
What I
it's
do know is that Venezuela has Iran soldiers there. So you have some soldiers from the Middle East helping Maduro to achieve God knows what.
well, it'd be a convenient way for loose screw to get armed military assistance with his agenda and bypass any generals in the homeland uh, army that is not working with him in his agenda. He would just bypass them and use NATO troops and whatever mercenaries or people they
Mhm.
can drum up through these NGOs, non-government organizations led by Georgie Porgy Soriosio and the WEF. So it's a real tangled web. But if you look at it close enough, you can see their methods of operations. Um, and to me, it's clear, that they're going to engage NATO troops because I don't think they have the full cooperation of the home army. And do you think that's a fair statement?
I do, sir. And actually, it's great that you touch it on this point because today, basically today, this happened. Loose Screw just made an announcement. It wasn't Loose Screw, right? It was the federal government, but he actually signed this that he is asking for the polices all around Brazil, to some policemen they can volunteer to be at the special guard of the president So Luz Crew is going, he doesn't want the protection that our constitution and our system already offers to all the presidents, that it is our army, right? You get some troops from the army and okay,
Right.
you can choose those people, right? And you can choose some, but they have to come out of the army. But not anymore. Luz Crew is actually now making some sort of calling for all the policemen around Brazil that supports him to be part of a force in Brasilia, right? Brazil, hard to say like that.
Yeah.
Brazil capital.
Yeah.
And it's basically about way more than 1,000 people. So he wants 1,000, over 1,000 policemen, which they will all be volunteers to be some sort of new force that protects the Supreme Court, the presidency, and that area around the Congress and the Senate. So they are doing, we can say that it's an analogy with Washington, D.C., right? With what
Right.
happened since
I
Joey.
referred to that as the politicians trying to build their own Praetorian Guard.
Yes, I think you're correct, sir. Yes.
Like the Romans had the Praetorian Guard, and Adolf back in Germany, he had his substitute as a Praetorian Guard was the SS. So the private army that he controlled. So that was separate from the regular army.
Mhm.
So that's obviously in the works for them. Now, I wanted to ask you because you felt there was a ray of hope um, when Trump made a statement concerning the cartels that was unequivocal. He said he was going to destroy them. He was going to destroy the leadership. Um, and you had felt that the cartels were a big cog in the machine of the loose screw government.
Mhm.
Now, do you see any activity by the cartels or any involvement or any reprisals for that when Bolsonaro had the crackdown about a week or two before the election?
Uh, from what I'm seeing now is that the criminals here in Brazil, they are getting very, what is the word for it? They are getting very brave. And brave is not the
Bold.
right term for it, but the criminals are getting very brave. We see
Yeah.
here on our Twitter, just for you to make sense of the situation, it's now being common for videos here being shared all over Twitter and WhatsApp of police officers getting beaten by criminals. And the criminals are saying on their faces that we aren't afraid of you. The government is on our side. And
Yeah.
you see, I told you that Mr. T, when he made that speech about cracking down on the cartels, that it shed some sort of hope on my heart because you see, communism is founded on crime, and
Right.
the crime of the crime of the century now, just for them. So McDonald's has to sell burgers, right? So they can pay their basic bills, and the communists they have to sell drugs so they pay their basic bills. And
Yeah.
when Mr. T said that, I understood because of years of study here in Brazil, and understanding about the situation of the cartels here, that Mr. T is actually going at the heart of the problem. He's going at the heart of the giant. He
Right.
isn't playing games anymore when he told us that, because at the moment he does that, he will at least he will freeze the assets of hundreds of thousands of people here in South America, and they are all related to those parties which are a part of the Foro de São Paulo. And the Foro de São Paulo is a criminal organization. The Foro de São Paulo is a cartel because the FARC from Colombia is a member of the Foro de São Paulo. And the FARC basically it's what supports the Foro. It's what finances the Foro de São Paulo. So when when the members of the Foro de São Paulo, they weren't in power on their respective countries, just like Hugo Chavez. To be honest, Hugo Chavez appeared later. Luz Crew and others are more honest for us to talk about. But when you see, when Luz Crew was not in power, when the Workers' Party wasn't in power here in Brazil, the Foro de São Paulo was living with the money of the FARC. So all the drug trade in South America, the cocaine trade, basically, was founding the communists that are now terrorizing us everywhere on the continent. And now they have access to, again, to our National Development Bank. So they are getting free, it's free loans. They are getting free loans with basically no interest rate. And only God knows where this money will stop, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's kind of like the Democratic Party, that the people that have taken over the Democratic Party. I'm not going to say about all Democrats. The people that have taken over the Democratic Party are involved in international money laundering, and that goes with the situation in UKR with the BIOLABS bio, and also the drug trade with the three-letter agency that begins with a C, ends with an A, and has an I in the middle. So, and they're heavily involved there in Brazil. That last agency I just said, because the head of that three-letter agency came to Brazil right before the inauguration. Correct?
Yes, it wasn't right before, but it was some months before. And the most chilling part about this visit, it was that the director, right, of this institution, he told Bolsonaro that Bolsonaro needed to accept the results. But basically like that, Bolsonaro, you need to accept the results because these machines, they are flawless.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
They basically that I would have taken that in Bolsonaro, so I'm sure he took it as a threat.
sure, so true. I think so because Bolsonaro actually he was very prudent when commenting about the situation, and
Right.
I do think he found this was a threat. And if you have some operative from another country going at the president's office and threatening him there, I think this guy he's not that crazy. It's not about only having some balls, but it's about having someone to back you up if things go wrong, right?
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think Bolsonaro understands that network of people that they back up each other, right? And they don't let anyone down, right? It's so different from the right wing movement or the patriot movement. Leftists, they know they know how to protect and support their fellow compatriots. Let's say like that.
Yeah. Well, I want, if I'm just a itty bitty channel, but I want as many Americans to realize, like with Venezuela, there's a company in America called Cargill, Cargill, Cargill. It's kind of on the level of a southern states. A lot of people know that business, agricultural business. That's very big. And they were big in Venezuela. And when the communists took over in Venezuela, they seized all of Cargill's property, all their business records, all their bank accounts, all their equipment. And that was the end of it. It was nationalized, and Cargill took a big hit. And Chavez's daughter, when he died, she inherited almost $1 billion from this leftist help the people communist. He stole almost $1 billion from the Venezuelan people and gave it to his daughter upon his death from cancer. So that's what we're dealing with this loose screw character and half the people that we have in our own government.
Yes, sir. And if you see Venezuela, the problem with this, that in Venezuela it happened more drastically. I think it wasn't prepared by the government. That the government they didn't actually made an early notice for the people that, hey, we are going after your property. But here in Brazil, they are already doing that. Luz Crew, he signed so many decrees on this first month of government, and one of them, they are now, and we are now discovering this, that Bolsonaro basically allowed this to happen. That we have a federal app, right, for you to use on your cell phone. It's called GovBR, from Government Brazil. So
Yeah.
in GovBR, we saw this on a decree now that Lula has updated this decree, that they have access to your geolocation always. So they always have access to everyone's geolocation, which they have used any of the services available on the app. And
Wow.
not only that, this decree was also updated with another one, which declares some sort of thing. It's like that. If an emergency happens, maybe the government needs your property to fight the emergency. So I wasn't clear on this one. Sorry, I was just rephrase it. But basically, the government is telling us with this new decree that if they declare an emergency and we have a property, I don't know, let's say a big farm right near São Paulo, and the government thinks that our farm is a point of public interest, and they need to use that space to attend the public needs, they will do it, and they will remove your ownership, basically, of
Right.
that property. They won't do it blatantly, like they won't arrive and give you a document where just where it states that you aren't the owner. They will just do like in Europe, so places in Europe where you can't remove unwanted people from your house. Let's say you have someone that doesn't pay you rent. They invaded your home. In Europe, some places in Europe, you have to pay for the place, and you have to pay their taxes, and you have to pay for the bills and everything. Here in Brazil, it will happen the same thing. The government will use your property, but you will be the one responsible for paying the water bill and the electricity bill, right? And
Wow.
all the taxes. They are that slick and that cynical. And as we are talking, Maltaman, the other day, it is all about using the right words from it, right?
Yeah.
Because what they are trying to frame, just let's, you see, well, I talk like crazy. I talk everywhere. I go everywhere. And if we go back to General Arruda, which was the commander in chief, right? Sorry, which was the commander of the army back on January 8th, when that guy sent his troops to defend the patriots, he was actually doing just that. He was sending the army to defend innocent patriots from ruthless government officials that were acting like I don't know, I don't know the word for it, but they were acting like
Thugs.
mercenaries, thugs, like thugs, like mercenaries, to hunt people which they knew they hadn't committed any crimes. So
Right.
you see, my
So
friend.
yeah, it's time to call a spade and say things like they are. Like my father said before he passed, at some point you got to make a stand, and even if that's by coming out with frank and blunt words that are unappealing or don't make people happy, but they're true.
Yes, sir. I agree. It is just that we have to say here in Brazil is another expression. Is it is you will say bread, bread, cheese, cheese. It is what it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I want to see if anybody in the chats has any questions for you. I'm looking through, and there's a lot of people I haven't said hi to, and I apologize. So I'll just say hi to everybody. Ha ha. And I see Nikki's here. So,
I I have a comment to say about, I don't know, I have read this back on the beginning of the chat,
Yeah.
and one person was telling that we have a famous doctor on the resistance front,
Okay.
Dr. Bakarti. I don't know his name, but actually, I don't know if you saw what's happening in Multiman in
What?
Thailand. And the king of Thailand is investigating now the numerous effects of the jab
Oh, yeah.
because his daughter is in coma, right? And that person made this comment right when we were talking about the situation in Brazil, that Brazil is going backwards. All the world is now talking about all the effects and how this thing is actually poison. And Brazil is just, oh no, everything's fine. And this is a miracle of science, right? so,
Yeah, but
so
they're going to start hearing about things that you just mentioned, like the president of Thailand. And
mhm.
I sent you that video of Mr. T discussing what his policies are going to be concerning the alphabet cult and our children. And I think he's going to come out with something similar concerning the origins of this illness. And one thing he mentioned was the use of uh, drugs or medicines in violation of their stated purpose. And I think he's going to expand that out towards this illness we're talking about right now. So I'm hoping he will come out with a strong comment on that. But we also have a senator here in the U.S. named Rand Paul, who several months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, told Dr. Auchi to his face that he felt that he was responsible for the expiration of up to 7 million people worldwide. And he said that publicly to Dr. Auchi's face. So we're going to start seeing more stuff like that coming out. And I saw in the comments where Robin stated she felt something big was going to happen. She could feel it in her bones, and I want to say I think a lot of us feel that way, and
Yeah,
I think
I even
it is
got
a
goosebumps
worldwide
now.
operation. And I haven't said it through the whole video, but I hope somebody's hit the like button as much as we went through to put this broadcast up. Please hit the like, and if you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. Now, um, can you tell when you get on the internet if there's uh, any kind of interference or throttling of your ability to uh, be on the internet?
Not yet, my friend. You see, but for basically, if I want to inform myself on Twitter, for example, if I want to see tweets from important people, let's say like that, I have to use a VPN, just like China.
Yeah,
So we are already seeing some sort of this stuff here in Brazil that if you want to access the real deal, you have to use a VPN and you have to be careful, right? And
yeah.
I mean, we have to be careful. And just for you to know, guys, it's not about getting being careful because there's some sort of algorithm or robot that it's scanning the web for some words. No, no. Here in Brazil, it's worse. It's social denounces. You see, some crazy lunatic person, they can arrive at your channel and they can dislike what you are talking and they can denounce you as a terrorist. Easy as that,
Now,
right?
when you use the term denounce, where they can denounce you, is that kind of like report you?
Yes,
Report you?
yes, sir. The correct term is report. They can report you to the federal prosecutor's office.
So
So
that
you,
that is the term when you use denouncement. That means you've been reported to the feds.
Yeah, you were reported. They report you as not as a threat to democracy, but they report you as an extremist, right? Just as those fathers that were denounced, reported, right, by the FBI as domestic terrorists.
Yeah,
Sorry, I said a bad word here
that's
at the
okay.
live stream.
That's
And
okay. I think we can get away with one here and there, one
yeah,
here and
I
there.
think so. Yeah.
And if we can't, we can't. We just do the best we can. But we've got almost we've got a good crowd in here tonight, and hopefully hopefully people will share this and discuss it, because it is our neighbors. I mean, this is not on the other side of the world, folks. This is in our hemisphere. This is our southern neighbors, and Reagan tried to stop it in Grenada. He tried to stop it in Nicaragua. Uh, they didn't dare try the stuff they've gotten away with back then when we had a strong leader that was concerned about South America. But they've gotten away with a lot. And South America, most of its territory, what we have of all the countries there on that continent, what's the percentage you would say that has gone basically communist?
I think we have basically two that aren't communists.
Okay.
That's it. Just that.
Which countries do you think are?
Ecuador. Ecuador.
Ecuador?
We have some sort of good news coming from Ecuador,
Okay.
and the other one, it's one of the Guianas. I don't know if it is the French Guiana or the normal Guiana, but they are so poor
Guyana.
places. Guyana,
Okay.
right? They are so poor places that it doesn't matter, right? They are.
Well, I remember hearing something from 17, our favorite letter, years back, that they said we would be surprised by a country. What was it? How they worded it? That a country we would least expect would surprise us, or something like that. So maybe it'll be a Guyana or Ecuador that surprises us. I don't know.
We have
Just
a lot of
something
protests.
that came in my mind.
We have a lot of protests going on, Maltaman, also, especially in Peru and Bolivia. And I think in Peru, already 50 people have died. So things are really violent around there. And the left here on the continent, they aren't comfortable. They are giving the impression for the world that they are putting the house in order, but these people, they aren't comfortable. Here in Brazil, they are scaring the hell out of the patriots, but in the other places, right, especially Peru and Bolivia, people are on the streets and they are challenging the government every single day. So it's not an easy situation. And I think, from what I think, that when Luz grew, when he declared a no-flight zone in Roraima, right with the border in Venezuela, is that I think he is already moving troops there, and something will happen, right? I don't know, something will happen, because from there they can easily go to they can go down to Peru, or they can go down to Bolivia using our country, right? Using the routes from Brazil, right?
Right.
So I don't know, my friend, that there's something strange going on in the continent. One of your audience members here told us that she is feeling that something big is about to happen. I
Right.
feel the same thing. I feel the
Yeah.
same thing, right? Because it's just like when nature it's getting silent, right? Right
Right.
before a storm. I think it's the same situation that we're living right now, because they are trying really hard to give us the impression that everything's good, that they are doing a great job, that they are making things peaceful again. And this, as we said earlier, right? We still have the right to our perception. And both of my eyes are telling me, right, I am seeing that things are not what these people are saying they are.
Right.
Things aren't peaceful anymore, and things aren't that quiet here in Brazil regarding uh, the loose screw authority, let's say like that, as commander in chief.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can tell by this episode with the protecting the general that and their attempt excuse me, their attempts to engage NATO troops, that tells you right there that he does not have a really good grip on the military, kind of like the rest of the population.
True, true. And it's so common nowadays, at least since last week. It is very common to you every day see some sort of article on the mainstream media saying that, hey, there's some sort of problem with trust regarding the commander in chief and the armed forces, and people aren't feeling that well anymore regarding loose screw. They don't think he has the legitimate authority to give them orders and so. But you see, my friend, uh, at the same time this is happening, they actually the left, when I say the left, I mean the federal government right here in Brazil, and they are already going after the patriots, and
Yeah.
they are already going after the opposition. So they seem to be weak, right? And they are weak, but they are fighting back with everything they have. Just one example. It was back last week. I was talking with a friend at the gym, and he told me that he wanted to, to erase loose screw from the face of Earth. And I told him that this wasn't a prudent thing to say, not in public, right? And I
Yeah.
understand his frustration, but this is not the right way to resolve things. At least not now or nor never. We can't do it like them. We can become murderers, right? Just for us to be right. And you see, a famous volleyball player just posted on his Instagram that he posted a poll where he was asking people, "What do you think about erasing loose screw with a shotgun?"
Oh.
And you see, that guy, I think the post was live for 1 to 3 hours, and then he deleted. But it was it was up enough time for the federal government to take notes, and now this person is being prosecuted by the federal government. I
Uh-huh.
don't think he will be placed under arrest, but the prosecutors, they are already asking for him to be banned from all sports. So his career is over. His volleyball player career is completely over.
Right.
And was just one of many examples that the federal government is setting. That you see, when it was Bolsonaro and Trump, you could make a video clip and you could make a video, an artistic video, right? When you just erase Trump from the earth. But if you do the same thing with the other side, they will sue you, right? They'll probably get you under arrest. They will go after your money. They will destroy your life. And they are doing this, my friend, with
Yeah.
everyone that is criticizing them here in Brazil. They aren't giving no peace for their critics. No peace, my friend.
Yeah, that's the way they operate. They always have through history. So I'm just looking, you know, to for you to be careful. Of course, we want to keep in contact with you, and you're smart enough. Um, but you're giving your friend some wise counsel there, and that soccer player is lucky
Yeah.
if all they do is ruin his career, because past tyrannical dictators, he would already be in jail.
True. If it was in China or Venezuela, that guy
Well,
would be in jail for sure. Yeah.
you got to remember
No questions asked.
Those Iranian soccer players that stood in solidarity with the women who didn't want to wear their hijabs or hijab, whatever you call them. A couple of those guys, when they came back from the Olympics, they met the ultimate punishment, and they were big stars, and they were executed, right? So that tells you, because if they could do that kind of stuff, they would. The fact that they're not arresting him and they haven't done anything that bad, that tells me they're not as strong as they wish they could. They wish they could throw Trump in jail. They wish they could throw Bolsonaro in jail. They wish they could take that soccer player and erase him from the earth. But the reason they're not is, like you said earlier, they're weak, and they've got all, as the 17th letter said, all assets deployed. So anyway, I'm seeing if everybody's got any final questions. And if you've got anything else you want to add before we go, Oakman, I do want to say I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate everybody that's tuned in and giving us a like. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. If anybody's interested in helping the channel out, it's in the description. And I want to thank Wanda. I thanked her earlier in the show. She wasn't here, but I thanked her for helping out last night. And on the screen there, I've got channel support link in the description. So anyway, so anybody got any questions for our friend Oakman? And Robin says, stay safe, Oakman. Thank you for sharing with us. And I'll put her on the screen so you can see it. And Honey's from United Kingdom. I said, I had people from Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, and Brazil. I have to write down how many different countries Utizzle was telling me they'd been tuning in. So, one word gets to one person, and that gets to another, and then to another, right? So we do the best we can. So if nobody's got any more questions, I want to thank you, Oakman, for coming on tonight. And to my viewers, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with us. And we will be doing another interview soon, and we're going to keep our ear to the ground as to what's going on with our neighbors. And I want people to tell fellow Americans how close this danger is. And even though we covered so many subjects, what we talked about at the very beginning, locking your bank account, preventing you from going places, targeting you, coming to your house to see if you've got that treatment in your arm. Things like that are not that far away from us, and it's happening in our own backyard right now. So everybody keep that in mind, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I appreciate you all coming in, and I'll be talking to all of you soon, and you also, Oakman.
This was awesome, Malta, man. I want to thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you, guys. Your audience is awesome. They are very polite, and thank you so much for all the love. And I'll try my best here to stay safe and to stay quiet and prudent around here, because we are living in dark times. But the greatest sign that the victory is near is that we are all reunited once again, at least on the internet, and we are talking about this. So actually, this is a great sign that these people, they aren't that powerful, because they can control us, right? They can control our thoughts, at least not yet. All right.
Okay.
And I think this is this type of communities like you have here, Mountain Man. They are what will rebuild, right, the West and our civilization. And these things are just like lighthouses, right, of hope and freedom all around the world. And we will win, folks. I believe that with all my heart.
Okay, that sounds great. I think we've got to walk through the dark to get to the light. And we were all chosen for a reason. I believe those words. And God is in control. And we're going to hang our hats on that. and we're going to try to live right and fight the good fight. So thank you all again, and thank you for your precious time. And I'll be talking to you all soon. This is Mountain Man speaking for Oak Man, over and out.